All right, so this is taking a look at Crusade and Revolution, the Spanish Civil War, 1936-1939. This is the Compass Games, I guess, special edition, or second edition. Yeah, I guess it says second edition right there. But this is a huge box because the map is mounted. It's in two pieces, as you can see, that join in the middle there. Kind of annoying to keep them together. So if you don't put plexi over them, you probably want to put some kind of, some double-sided tape under the corners or something just to keep it from constantly having to shift these two pieces so that it fits. I know some people are probably less obsessive about it than I am, but it's one of those things that's a little bit annoying. But it is, a nice map. Given that it's mounted. So this is a card-driven game. I think, just based on what I've played so far, I haven't read any background on this, whether it's true or not, but it feels, in terms of how the core and division-sized units are organized and how division-sized step losses and replacements work, it feels very, very similar to the classic Paths of Glory system, which is now a system. It's not just the one game, because you can see Illusions of Glory there, which is the East Front in the same system, and then there's also Pursuit of Glory, which is the Middle East theater. The way the replacement points work, the way the step losses work, and that sort of thing, all feel very reminiscent of Paths of Glory. And indeed, the card play, it's like any classic card-driven game that you've got cards that are worth ops points, which are, in this case, 3 here, would be worth the number of spaces on the map in which you could activate units to either move or attack. Then you can also spend the cards for replacement points. This is a Republican card here, as you can see, which you can use to do replacement points, and then Soviet replacement points if you've activated the Soviet aid event. Same thing for the nationalist side. You can add nationalist replacement points and Axis replacement points if you've played the Axis support event. The replacement points then allow you to rebuild your dead units and or directly reinforce units that have lost steps on the map if they're in supply or a legal space to do so. Much like Paths of Glory, it is very difficult to you never have enough to do everything you want to do in a turn in terms of either events or ops points or replacement points. So, and you have to allocate your resources amongst all 3. So far, I'm on turn 3, just starting turn 3. So I've done the first 2 turns, and it has been very difficult for both sides to determine, do I want to play these, key events, or do I really want to use the ops? And especially with a nationalist player who sort of has the burden of attacking early in the game, they have to attack before the Republican side can build up their organization and defenses. That means as the nationalist player, you kind of want to use ops as much as you can because you've got the advantage in numbers and you want to try and push that advantage. The Republican side can afford to take a few more events, but on this last turn, I found myself struggling because I had played, for instance, this beachhead invasion of Majorca event that allows the Republican player to establish a beachhead and try and take Majorca, because it's kind of recommended in the strategy that, hey, this is a valuable thing you can get if you do it early, but you need to reinforce it. In order to really have a chance of actually taking the island, you need to sort of SR another unit here to increase your numbers. That's another ops card you have to spend in addition to the event just to get the beachhead. And on the second turn in particular, I had a number of these limited trench placing events that allow you to place trenches in Madrid and any adjacent space, which you can only do with this one event card. You can't ordinarily place trenches in Madrid. Same thing up here with Bilbao and the Northern Front. So I felt compelled to play those cards for their events rather than cycle them through and hope to draw them again before the Nationalist player was potentially threatening or taking those spaces. So those are the kinds of decisions you're faced with. Like, I could have really used Ops and RP cards for the Republicans on the second turn, but I felt compelled to take those trench events, but had I used Ops, I could have potentially tried to wrap up this Majorca thing. Had I used RPs, I could have replaced, notice how many units they've lost. I could have replaced and or rebuilt depleted units on the board. But the strategy guide for the Republican player says, hey, you need to spend RPs per turn, but hey, don't ignore these important events if they come up. You may not get them again. And so it becomes well, shit, do I take the RP advice or do I take the event advice? Because I can't do both. So, and that's kind of the whole crux of these card-driven games, is you can never do everything that you want to do. Conversely, the Nationalist side, I felt compelled to take a number of events there, particularly the Axis support event. The one thing I did hold off on doing was the Italy and Germany recognized Nationalist Spain. That's worth a VP. I figured I can get that again. I've already played the Franco Takes Command event. I felt it was important to do that this turn, get that out of the way so it would unlock these other related event cards. So I did do that one this turn. I did do the Axis support one that allows me to get Axis RPs, because now once those cards start coming out, in particular the card that I kept until the next turn is this Axis Armor, which needs the Axis Military Aid event. This will allow me to put some armor on the board, and so I'll play this early on turn 3 so I can get the Axis Armor rolling for that drive on Madrid. But I did, this in an ideal situation, the Republican player either would have not have played the Madrid trench event or would not have gotten the card yet, and the Axis player, the Nationalist player, as you can see here, I'm already like knifing right into the heart of Republican Spain, right up to, I've got kind of an open road here. There's one depleted militia unit, but kind of an open road right up to Madrid with some powerful African army units. So, had I moved even more expeditiously with the Nationalist player or been more lackadaisical about the defense of Madrid with the Republican player, it could turn south very quickly for the Republican player. So I can see why they say, hey, if you get that Madrid trench card, you're gonna need it. Use it. Don't try and hope that you draw it back again when you reshuffle your decks and work in the next layer of cards for the next turn sequence or whatever. So it is been very much a CDG so far. The rules are very good. I'm not sure if there was a lot of polish done to the second edition or not, but so far I've had no issues with the rules. They've been very clear, very concise, very thorough. And the second edition printing here, you get the rules and the playbook combined into one sort of very thick, heavy cardstock covered, glossy pages, but for the quality, the sturdiness of the book, I'm fine with that. But very nice, very quality rule book, nice, pre-rounded, good thick counters, and the only major complaint is, and then the nice mounted board, the only major complaint is that the player aid cards are extremely thin, very flimsy paper. They are not cardstock. They should be heavy cardstock, especially in a deluxe second edition mounted map version. Why these aren't, super thick cardstock. Same thing here. this markers card, which there's duplicates of these, so you only need one side that has that, and then the other side which has your key on it for explaining all of your units and markers and stuff. But this also extremely thin, glossy, that kind of paper that if you get it wet, it'll just disintegrate. So it's not even real paper. Just terrible component quality on these. It's inexplicable to me why Compass makes a lot of weird decisions, but why they would go to make this huge, massive size box, compare it to a normal war game size box. I mean, it's huge. It's not even gonna fit on a shelf with GMT boxes. I mean, it's just massive to house this huge. And it's a very sturdy, it's that quality sort of linen finish. Nice sturdy box, nice mounted board, awesome heavy stock rules, nice thick pre-rounded counters, easy punch, and then wafer thin play aids. Just baffling. And the cards. Unfortunately, I would have hoped for like a linen finish card, but no, they're kind of like GMT quality cards. Not the greatest card quality there either. So they kind of skimped on the cards, and they're not like poker cards. They're that stiff, tough to shuffle kind of stuff. Why you would go all out on some things and skimp on others for an edition like this, I don't understand, but it's Compass. But the game itself, I'm really enjoying so far, and has proven to be, like I said, a fairly good CDG in terms of making you make those hard decisions. Lots of little Chromie rules regarding sieges and isolated spaces at the beginning of the game. And I'm playing the full campaign, so there are a number of scenarios, but this is starting at the very beginning, mid-1936. Yeah, August of 36 is when it starts, and it's kind of monthly turns or bi-monthly turns. But so far, I'm enjoying it. It's kind of a toss-up at the moment. The Nationalist player, despite the fact that you can see there's still this pink space here, and that's not actually connected. I did actually take that space, which alleviates an ammunition supply rule that affects this northern nationalist zone. If you join these two zones early in the game, you can flip over a marker here that says the ammo shortage is removed. It starts out active, and so you can see, though, the Republicans ended up retaking this space, but that doesn't shift back. The ammunition problem is permanently solved at that point. There are other little markers you can see here. I've got the Franco takes command. Initially, it was no single command. I played the Franco takes command fairly early on the second turn. Same thing here, the Republican government. You can play this Largo Caballero card that unlocks some other beneficial cards for the Republicans later on. It starts out where they have the Jose Guerral government that prevents them from having coordinated militia attacks early in the game, and you want to get rid of that as quickly as possible so that you can potentially retake one or both of the isolated spaces that the Nationalists turned at the start of the game. You can see here Granada, the Nationalists have opened up that was an isolated space in the game, and I didn't have the opportunity to eliminate that early in the game, but I did eliminate and capture the Oviedo isolated space last turn, because that one provides an extra victory point and Republican morale point early in the game, so you really want to focus on that with the Republicans if you can, and I was able to there. The other thing I was able to do was complete the 3 Republican sieges. There was 3 spaces on the map here that had sieges in them at the start of the game. If the Republicans don't capture those spaces before the Nationalists get to them, the Nationalists get bonus victory points for liberating them. So I wanted to deny that. as quickly as I could with the Republicans. So I did that on the first turn and actually liberated all those sieges with some good rolling on the part of the Republicans. So, cool historical chromy bits at the start of the game. The other big thing was this control of the Strait of Gibraltar. It starts out under Republican Strait control, and then eventually the Nationalists can break that, and that allows them access to Atlantic ports to support their Northern Front activities. So we'll see where it goes. Right now, like I said, kind of a toss-up, kind of things going as expected for the Nationalists, where they're making big strides down here and unifying their two fronts. On the next turn, I'll focus more on getting to Madrid, as well as trying to crack the Northern Front for the Republicans up there. So, and then for the Republicans, try and focus on taking Majorca, which will limit some of the nationalist Mediterranean control, which will be important for the Republican player later in the game. So we'll see how it goes, and I may check in with another video in a bit. It's been a while since I've done a video, many months, because my main focus over the past few months has been on hobby painting. As you can see over here, I've been painting a lot of stuff. The most time-consuming project has been Cursed City, which I've made some progress on the heroes and villains there, but still have a lot of the troops left to do. I'm also right now working on painting all the little minis for the Fantasy Flight game, Star Wars Rebellion, and I just finished painting, if you can see over the glare there, the whole box of minis for the Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth, also from Fantasy Flight. So just working on a lot of hobby painting stuff, and then waiting in the wings is a number of Blood Bowl and Dungeon Bowl teams. I picked this stuff up. I played both Dungeon Bowl and Blood Bowl a lot as a kid. The old second edition of Blood Bowl is where I got my start in the late 80s, and enjoyed playing that through middle school and high school, and played Dungeon Bowl as well. And so I built, these are the two Dungeon Bowl teams that came with the recently released Dungeon Bowl. And then I've got 4 Blood Bowl teams: Halflings, Dark Elves, the Human Nobility, and Black Orc teams, all assembled and everything. I still need to paint them, but I'm looking forward to getting some Blood Bowl teams back on the pitch. You can see I've got the boards laid out to the Astro Granite side. The other side is grass, so I got the nice double-sided board, which is cool. The old second edition of Blood Bowl had a styrofoam Astro Granite pitch, which is pretty cool. But anyway, that's where my hobby time has been sunk lately. So yeah, it's been many months with no war game videos, but I did finally get something to the table here with Crusade Revolution. I've been reading a book on the international brigades in the Spanish Civil War, and so that got me kind of interested to sit this out and take a crack at it, because I knew it would be fairly easy to play given its CDG and inspired by a Paths of Glory type nature. So, but I've got other war games waiting in the wings. I'm clipping some counters here. The replacement counters for Stonewall Jackson's Way 2, and the counters for Hood Strikes North. So hopefully get some great campaigns of the American Civil War on the table again soon as well, as a little break from all of my hobby painting. So anyway, I'll check back in again, hopefully sooner than another 6 months.